Hello, learners. Welcome to this lecture on environment, climate, and energy. I'm Dr. Yashmita, working as an assistant professor in ANDA-UT. Through this lecture, we will be looking at the relationship of gender with environment, climate, and energy. After learning this unit, you will be able to explain the relationship between environmental change and women, illustrate the impact of climate change on gender, and establish the relationship between energy security and gender considerations. Environmental changes and gender implications. Environment related changes taking place in the surroundings impact all people. Women who are more closely involved in farming, tending domestic animals, collecting fuel wood from forest, collecting and storing water, etc., may bear the brunt of lack of access to or deterioration of natural resources and the consequences of natural disasters. For example, in the regions where groundwater is polluted by arsenic and used for irrigation of crops, and particularly for drinking, arsenic poisoning can affect the skin and vital organs, leading to serious and life-threatening illnesses. Health of girls and women are also affected by poor sanitation. Since environmental degradation directly affects the life and livelihoods of poor women, they have remained conscious about environmental protection and have been more deeply concerned about nature. Climate change and women's vulnerability. Climate change poses threat to the survival and livelihoods of various communities. Populations across the world are affected by climate change, but some regions, communities, and occupations are more vulnerable than others. The effects of climate change are not gender neutral. Men and women have different adaptive and coping capabilities that differentiate their responses toward the climate change and their adverse effects. Women suffer the most due to the adverse effects of climate change. Disturbances in the climatic conditions, changes in weather patterns, scarcity of water, and decline in the availability of vital resources not only makes life difficult for women but also poses risk to their health and food security. Climatic conditions driven extreme events will disrupt food security and the well-being of the people. It is estimated that worldwide 50% of the food production in agriculture is done by women directly or indirectly. Climate change affects food availability, food access, and food utilization. The girls and women who normally eat the least and at the last in the family suffer the most during climate change. Climate change will affect the food production, which in turn may increase malnutrition among the women. Agriculture. Women constitute a major share of agricultural workforce. The feminization of agriculture is also because when males migrate to urban areas, the responsibility of agriculture falls on the shoulders of women in addition to their duties of caregiving and household work. Climate change makes agriculture more difficult. Women also tend to indulge in agricultural activities because they have less access to other earning opportunities. In India, a large number of women are associated with agricultural and allied activities and as a result become victims when climate change strikes. In addition, gender inequality makes them more vulnerable to environmental crises and natural disasters. For example, climate change affects the fisheries and makes fishing difficult. The increase in the sea level makes the saline water mix with fresh water. Climate change is reducing the capability to cope up with such changes. With the deforestation increasing, the collection of firewood and collecting water is becoming increasingly difficult. Disasters. Women are extremely vulnerable both financially as well as socially when natural disasters like flood, cyclones, or hurricanes occur. Along with children, they suffer the most because of loss of livelihoods, shelter, and face difficulty feeding the self and the family. As climate change exaggerates, the poor women and girls are at more risk of losing equal opportunities to participate in development. Climate change affects the parameters of health like clean water, clean air, food availability, and safe living. Natural disasters also lower the life expectancy of women. Women are disproportionately affected than men. Physical stressful conditions makes it difficult for the men to cope up during floods, storms and typhoons. Health and hygiene issues. Water stress induced due to climate change is predicted to put a challenge on the health and hygiene and sanitation, which will adversely affect the health of the women in rural as well as urban areas. Cases of mental health issues, anxiety, domestic violence, all are predicted as the direct or indirect consequences of climate change on the women's condition. Most of the works in the fields is done by hand and foot, and so climate induced scarcity of natural resources may jeopardize their health as they are forced to travel long distances to collect fuel wood and water. Mainstreaming gender concerns in climate change discourses. Adaptation to climate change is determined by technology, wealth, and access to information. Women can help in mitigation and implement energy efficient programs and policies. Energy efficient chulas, household appliances, lighting, along with the use of biomass and biogas, and switch to solar energy. Capacity building and training of female farmers and workers must be strengthened. The technological development should be done keeping in mind the women's needs and roles. User-friendly, affordable and economically feasible solutions must be proposed by the government. Governments must also incorporate gender-sensitive policies, action plans and other measures to achieve sustainable development. It requires organized gender analysis, obtaining sex disaggregated data, and strengthening gender sensitive indicators. Here are some case studies. Zhou Yuan Ren chart China's water quality. More than 300 million residents of rural China do not have access to clean drinking water. Zhou Yuan Ren was keen to help tackle this problem. She founded My H2O, an app which tracks water quality in rural communities. My H2O helps residents find clean water and connects communities with private companies and non-profit organizations that provide potable water solutions. It relies on a nationwide network of youth volunteers who are trained to test water quality and log their results in an interactive platform. The second case study is about Melanesia. Coral reefs of the world over are under siege from climate change, overfishing and pollution. Since 2009 alone, almost 14% of the world's coral reefs have disappeared, according to a 2020 report supported by United Nations Environment Programme. The Sea Women of Melanesia are hoping to reverse that decline. The group's 30 plus members chart the health of fragile coral reefs that surround Melanesia, a grouping of island nations in the South Pacific, and work with local communities to protect and restore these underwater cities. The sea women undergo rigorous training in marine science, which is supplemented by practical lessons in reef survey techniques, including the use of GPS technology. The third case study is about Zambi Mati, which in 2017, Zambi Mati quit her job as a data analyst and set up a small lab in her mother's backyard. There she began developing paving stones made from a combination of recycled plastic and sand. It would take years to refine her formula, but eventually Mati developed a robust plastic braced bricks that were cheaper and stronger than the cement counterparts. Today, she leads Jengi Makers, an upcoming Kenyan company that supplies plastic paving stones to schools across the country. Mati's work is helping to counter what experts have called an epidemic of plastic pollution. The next case study is on Molly Burhans, who is the founder of Goodlands. When Molly was 26, she learned of that the Catholic Church was one of the world's largest landowners but rarely inventoried its holdings. So she founded Goodlands to help religious communities map and manage their properties in a way that it promotes sustainable development. Burhans created the first digital map showing the global infrastructure of the Catholic Church and plans to help other large faith-based organizations conserve and restore lands marred by development. Projects like that are considered crucial as humans have altered nearly 75% of the Earth's surface, destroying many once wild spaces and pushing 1 million species towards extinction. Air pollution is one of the biggest environmental health threats of our time, killing an estimated 7 million people a year. While volunteering with the Move Green, a youth-led environmental organization in Kyrgyzstan, Maria became concerned about the poor air quality in Bishkek, home to roughly 1 million people and among the world's most polluted cities. This inspired Maria and colleagues to deploy special sensors that measure the concentration of airborne pollutants, including the tiny particulates, PM 2.5 and up to PM 10. Today, Move Green has more than 100 sensors which are spread across the country's two largest cities, namely Bishkek and Osh, which pipe data to a smartphone app having a gendered climate policy. Recognize the vital urgency of gender equality in climate change issues, ensure women's participation in all decisions related to climate change, ensure gender mainstreaming in all institutions dealing with climate change, collect and publish gender disaggregated data at every level, undertake gender analysis of all climate change policies, develop gender sensitive indicators, design outreach, capacity building education and training program, invest in gender training to sensitize both women and men. Increasing energy burden and women. Energy poverty. This implies lack of access to adequate modern energy services to meet basic needs of household and the lack of basic energy for essential services. The life of women could have been much easier and safer had there been no energy poverty, and so providing access to LPG, electricity, can make their life more comfortable. Increasing energy burden deprives them from education, productive work, and creative engagements. Women may continue to remain energy deprived even if they have access to energy, as in many households where men make decisions on the utilization of energy. Energy access does not necessarily mean that household work of the women is reduced. When electricity is made available, women are burdened with more work like setting a micro enterprise or like small scale business. Energy access must be linked with other programs which can boost the economic growth and make women economically independent. Energy utilization by women. While considering the energy utilization, the energy requirements and energy utilizations differ between men and women. Gender inequalities are also related to poverty and instability. Access to energy enables economic development. The United Nations has launched Sustainable Energy for All initiative and declared the year 2014 to 2024 as the decade of the sustainable energy for all. Electricity is the base of growth, industries, communication, and overall economic growth. At the macro level, power determines the health and well-being of the population. At the micro level, it aims to address time, poverty, a major constraint in ensuring gender equality. Households with electricity have appliances which reduce the load of women, have television and other media which keep the family informed, and use of clean energy sources also makes them less exposed to indoor air pollution. In the rice belt of Jharkhand, the estimated output of women hulling the paddy with an electric huller increased from 20 kg to 150 kg in just 4 to 5 hours, which shows how much time and energy intensive such manual task is for women. With better results accrued through a motorized huller, those women who were able to engage in recreational activities, which also amounted to better health outcomes. In India, collecting water, fuel wood, and crop waste can fulfill 92% of the rural domestic energy needs. Women also face energy related hurdles in formal sectors like access to grid electricity than males. Energy poverty is also leads to time poverty. By 2030, indoor air pollution from burning of biomass is likely to cause 1.5 million deaths annually. Women are often not included in the discussions pertaining to energy programs, plans, and policies. It therefore results in gender biased planning, execution, and implementation of these programs and policies. Exclusive use of LPG reduces the cooking time by 37 minutes and firewood collecting time to 24 minutes, together saving 1 hour every day. The agriculture and livestock rearing work is performed mostly by women. The agricultural instruments are not at all women friendly. They are not designed agronomically and cause physical and mental stress while operating them. The farming operations like seeding, thrashing, winnowing, weeding, harvesting, etc. becomes more complicated. There is an urgent need to do more research on women-friendly tools and equipment so as to enhance energy efficiency in the agricultural sector. Status of energy use in rural Indian household. According to the 2011 census, 85% of the rural households were dependent on traditional biomass fuels for their cooking energy requirement. The NSSO 2009-10 reveals that around 76% of the rural households are still dependent on firewood wood for cooking. However, the percentage of LPG usage has marginally increased. NSSO reports that there has been an increase in biomass fuel use in terms of absolute quantity consumed over the past decade among rural households. In May 2016, the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas introduced the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana as a flagship scheme with an objective to make clean cooking fuel such as LPG available to the rural and deprived households which were otherwise using traditional cooking fuels such as firewood, coal, cow dung cakes, etc. The scheme was first launched on 1st May 2016 in Balia, Uttar Pradesh by the Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi ji. Traditional energy use and its impact on health and environment. Extreme exposure to indoor air pollution due to use of wood, crop residues and untreated coal adversely affects the health of families, and it leads to indoor concentrations of important pollutants, respirable particulates, carbon monoxide, benzene and formaldehyde. Because most of the cooking is done by women, they are more affected by household air pollution caused by inefficient burning of solid biomass cooking fuels. Women exposed to indoor smoke are 3 times more likely to suffer from chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases such as chronic bronchitis as compared to women who cook with electricity, gas or other clean fuels. Also, the use of firewood for cooking causes forest degradation due to the continuous extraction of wood, leading to deforestation, decline in biodiversity, soil degradation, indoor air pollution, and greenhouse gas emissions. Women and clean green energy sources. Transition towards clean source of energy is moving from kerosene oil to improved cooking stove to solar cooker. Strong support should be given to women to develop and adopt green and eco-friendly technologies which are non-polluting and renewable. Energy policies and programs needs to be gender sensitive. Improved energy programs initiated by the government have been more effective and more beneficial when women stakeholders are involved in product design and providing services. Women entrepreneurs use renewable energy to maximize profits, to increase efficiency in the informal sector enterprises, and with suitable training and support also help in the production of green energy sources. For example, women effectively operate and maintain biogas, hydroelectric and solar installations. The initial investment costs in these projects are higher, and because of lack of women's training and restricted movement, the efficiency falls below the standards. Between 2005 and 2011, only 9% of the households made a complete transition to clean energy and 16.4 made a partial transition. Role of women in renewable energy sector. women are more inclined towards the use of renewable energy as compared to the conventional forms of energy. Due to energy poverty, the poor continue to burn fuel and use polluting sources of energy. This deprives women to adopt energy efficient technologies. Access to clean, affordable, reliable, and sustainable energy is also a tool for the empowerment of women and makes a difference to their health and well being. Every year, millions of women die because of indoor air pollution. Making energy services available to women will help in empowerment and social transformation. Introduction of improved and smokeless chulha, water heating devices, pressure cooker, metallic stove, biogas, LPG, etc. would help address different energy needs of different households. Adopting a gender perspective for promoting renewable energy development is important. Let's sum up. Mainstreaming of a gender perspective in the environmental protection is crucial. Yet, detailed account on the status of the role of women in this area remains sparse and not much explored. Much of the important issues like climate change and energy security pose challenge to all countries. Every day, women make so many decisions which influence the environment. In view of this, providing them access to clean sources of energy and better working environment can help minimize the adverse effects caused due to environmental degradation. Environmental problems affect men and women differently. Several studies indicate that climate change induced weather extremes and natural disasters bring in more hardships and struggle for the women. Gender must be considered while framing policies and strategies. Now let's move towards question and answers. The first one is, how do anthropologists conceptualize women's relationship with the environment in early human societies? Anthropologists discovered that in the early societies, women were primarily responsible for basic subsistence through food gathering, provide the bulk of nutritional resources, while men's hunting activities were supplementary. Their relationship with the environment was characterized as life-giving rather than life-taking. The second question is, explain the core principles of ecofeminism and its different perspectives. Ecofeminism this term was coined in 1974. It analyzes society-nature relations through two primary lenses. The first one is cultural ecofeminism, which looks into a positive link between women and nature through reproductive functions. And the second one is social ecofeminism, which argues that women and nature share experiences of subjugation in male dominated societies. The third question is, what are the key challenges in development policies regarding gender and environmental management? Development policies often ignore two critical gendered realities: exploitation and overwork of poor women in developing countries, and women's subordinate societal position that limits their participation in environmental resource decision-making processes. The fourth question is, how does globalization impact gender relationships in environmental resource management? The answer to this is, globalization transforms employment structures, influencing gender-based work division, employment generation mechanisms, natural resource usage and management, and regional agricultural labor structures and gender relationships. The fifth question is, define the concept of gender beyond popular perception. Gender is a social interpretation and construction of biological differences, extending far beyond women's studies. It represents a holistic perspective on societal and cultural relationships between men and women, informing and constraining interactions across all human life aspects. The sixth one, describe the historical European Renaissance perspective on gender and nature. The answer to this is, during the scientific renaissance, women were equated with nature, while men were associated with culture. This worldview suggested that women could be dominated similar to how nature could be controlled, reflecting a hierarchical and oppressive understanding of gender and environmental relationships. The seventh question is, what are the primary roles of women in natural resource management? And the answer is, women, especially in rural areas, play a crucial role in managing natural resources such as soil, water, forests, and energy sources. Agriculture and animal husbandry activities. They also look after household environmental management, and they serve as daily managers of living environments. The eighth question is, explain the different approaches with ecofeminism. Ecofeminism encompasses diverse approaches, including liberal ecofeminists seeking reforms within existing structure, radical ecofeminists which advocates structural dismantling, cultural ecofeminists which focus on women-nature connections, social ecofeminists which examine production and reproduction relationships. The ninth question is, how do gender dynamics influence environmental resource distribution? Gender dynamics impact environmental resource distribution through power relationships in resource access, household labor division, decision-making patterns, and unequal economic and technological power distribution. And the last question is, what is the significance of incorporating women's knowledge in environmental studies? Incorporating women's knowledge is crucial for: first one, recognizing women's expertise gained through close environmental interactions. Second, developing sustainable development approaches. Third, understanding diverse perspectives on resource management. Fourth, challenging traditional male-centric environmental understanding. Thank you, learners, for your kind attention.